I found an old phone in my grandmother's closet, but it had photos of funerals that haven't happened yet. When my grandmother passed away, I inherited her house. It was an old, creaky building on the outskirts of town, a place I had spent a lot of time in as a child. My grandmother was a very superstitious woman who loved telling spooky stories, so the atmosphere of the house always gave me mixed feelings. After her funeral, I decided to go through her things. It wasn't easy. Every shelf, every box was packed with memories. In the attic, I found an old closet, one I remembered from when I was a little boy. It was stuffed with old clothes, books, and random little knick-knacks. That's where I found the phone. It was an old flip-style mobile, the kind that hadn't been in use for years. I didn't remember my grandmother ever using one like this, but I figured maybe it was just something that had been lying around for ages. Curious, I tried turning it on. To my surprise, it worked. The screen blinked and the main menu appeared. Everything seemed pretty standard: an old calendar, basic wallpaper, and a folder with photos. I opened the gallery and immediately felt a chill run down my spine. The first few pictures were ordinary. Photos of the house, the garden, and then funerals. The pictures showed a coffin, wreaths, people dressed in black. At first, I thought it was from my grandmother's funeral, but then I realized it wasn't. These were the photos of a young man's funeral. The faces in the pictures were strangely familiar, but I couldn't place them right away. As I flipped through more pictures, the dread grew inside me. Among the crowd, I saw myself. In one of the photos, I was standing in the crowd, dressed in a black suit, with a solemn expression on my face. The problem was, I had never been to these funerals. I started examining the details of the photos. The date on the wreaths, the faces of the other people. These weren't just funerals of some stranger. They were funerals that hadn't happened yet. My first thought was that it had to be some kind of prank. Maybe someone was trying to scare me. But the more I looked, the more details I noticed that couldn't possibly be faked. In the next photo, I saw my younger brother, Mark. He was standing next to the coffin, head bowed. He looked like he had lost someone very close to him. I immediately called him. "Where are you?" I asked. "I'm home," he replied. "What's up? Why do you sound so weird?" His voice was calm, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. In the last photo, there was a shot of a grave. The name on the headstone made my heart stop. It was my name. My head started spinning. This was impossible. I felt a wave of panic rush over me. Maybe this was all just a bad dream. Maybe I was just overthinking things after the funeral. I kept flipping through the photos, trying to convince myself that it was just some mistake. But then something strange happened. The phone suddenly turned off. I tried to turn it back on, but it wouldn't respond. I replaced the battery, checked the charger, but the phone was dead. I couldn't stop thinking about the photos. They haunted me. I tried to find an explanation. Maybe it was some kind of warning. Maybe my grandmother was trying to contact me from beyond the grave. The next day, I took the phone to an electronics store to show it to a technician. The guy working there looked at the device and said, "This phone hasn't been made in years, at least 15, if not more." "But it was working yesterday," I insisted. The man shrugged. "Sometimes that happens. Maybe it just had a final burst of energy. If it turns back on, bring it back in and I'll take a look." I went home and put the phone in the drawer of my desk. I didn't know what to do with it. A week passed. I started noticing strange things. People from the photos started appearing in my life. One of them was a random passerby at the store. Another I spotted in line at the gas station. And then I got sick. It started as a common cold, but it only got worse with each passing day. doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I remembered the photos and realized something my grandmother had known. She left that phone as a warning. In my final moments, I tried to turn the phone on again, but it remained lifeless. I stared at it as if it could give me answers, and suddenly understood that in the end, no one can change what is predestined. Maybe it was a chance to say goodbye, or an opportunity to prepare. But somehow I felt like this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of something much, much worse.